Welcome everyone to the Hurting Humanity channel. I'm not sure at this point what more MAGA or conservatives or Trump supporters need to see to realize that Donald Trump is one of the deep state, that he's friends with the likes of George Soros and Bill Gates and the Jeff Bezoses of the world. You know, the ones who are literally funding the New World Order in front of our eyes. But maybe this will help wake people up, but I'm not too optimistic about that. Bill Gates says he was frankly impressed by Donald Trump during a 3-hour dinner they had together. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I talked about Donald Trump's tweet where he said that Bill Gates wanted to come down to Mar-a-Lago, and of course MAGA defended it, and MAGA said he wasn't serious. He's not going to let Bill Gates in. Oh, not only did he let Bill Gates come down for dinner, it was a one-on-one 3-hour dinner. And of course, the topics included getting that little syringe stuck in your arm, right? Because last time wasn't enough. Remember when Donald Trump rolled out Operation Warp Speed? Does anyone remember that? I know conveniently they don't. But the guy who claimed to be the father of that special serum, that black goo that they were getting inside of people's bodies, well, he's already discussing potentially the next one with Bill Gates. And you might remember this clip of Bill Gates laughing and joking during his documentary, where he was laughing and gloating and talking about having a quote-unquote pandemic, which is really a plandemic. That's 10 times worse than the last one. Maybe this is what he was discussing with Donald.
Yeah, the pandemic was definitely social media at its worst. And what if we have a pandemic that's 10 times worse and extreme measures
that. They're going to think you're going to cause it then.
That's right.
That.
I'm working on it.
Don't you say that. Cut that. Tell people something's going to happen. And then when it happens, they're like, oh.
This is not funny.
Content that will go everywhere. Millions of views if you say it.
And what if we have a pandemic that's 10 times worse? That's right.
That.
I'm working on it.
Don't you say that. Cut that.
Right, but don't be suspicious because these people can use humor even though it's not funny at all. And they've realized that they can get away with this stuff out in the open because they already committed mass genocide on society, and they're still walking free because, of course, they love the fact that you think that you can make change at the ballot box instead of an actual revolution. So this is what Bill Gates said occurred when he had dinner for 3 hours with Donald Trump. And the topic seemed to be, well, it seemed to be about inoculation.
Have you met with Donald Trump since the election?
Yeah, I had a chance to go have a long and actually quite intriguing dinner with him.
What did you discuss? What was intriguing?
Well, we touched on a lot of things. It was over 3 hours. To my surprise, it was, just he and I, his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and the person who helps manage things for me, Larry Cohen. So the four of us sat there, and it was quite wide-ranging. Global health's the area that I work in, and such amazing things have happened and can happen there. I spoke a lot about HIV and that the foundation's literally working on a cure for that. We're at an early stage, and so he, in the COVID days, accelerated the vaccine innovation. So I, was asking him if maybe the same kind of thing could be done here. And we both got, I think, pretty excited about that. We talked about polio, where, we're very close to getting that done. But if you stop, it'll spread back. And so I explained why it's been tough in Pakistan, Afghanistan. We've had cases show up in Gaza. We have cases in Africa. And he was fascinated to hear what he could do to maximize the chance that during the next 4 years, that incredible milestone will be achieved. I felt like he was, energized and, looking forward to helping to drive innovation. I was frankly impressed with how well he showed a lot of interest in the issues I brought up.
So very interesting that these are the topics they discussed, things like HIV, which last I checked, I thought people were saying that people just got injected with HIV. But and what else were they discussing? Well, polio, right? What do we know polio for? Well, of course, we know polio for shedding, right? So these are topics they discussed. Now, if Donald Trump wasn't one with the deep state, because who do you think of when you think of Mo? When you hear the word deep state, this is of course is a term that the government created and put out there, and this is how all Q and MAGA. This is what they call, the Illuminati, the New World Order. They call them the deep state. That's the title that's been given to them, created and manufactured by the government, right? They're the ones who fed them that term, and now they use it. Well, if you were thinking of the quote-unquote deep state, who would be the face that you would think of? For me personally, it would be Bill Gates. It would be the one guy who I've covered a million times, which you've all seen, who is connected to everything. He's connected and discussed things. I'll play the clips for you. I mean, he discusses and tries to deflect an entire episode on Netflix on his docuseries about all the conspiracies surrounding him, including the blood of the youth, drinking that, maybe being some type of reptilian demon being. Talks about how he has his own misinformation crew at his Gates Foundation that tracks and monitors with an algorithm every single word that goes viral or every single word that's hashtag about Bill Gates so that they could know what people are saying about Bill Gates. Now, you'd only want to know that if you were worried that something might happen to you, right? Because, who would actually care about every time they're hashtagged across the internet, especially when you're someone like Bill Gates and it's probably millions and millions and millions upon billions of times a week, right? Probably in the billions at this point. And of course, we got Bill Gates, who's got his hand in all potions, all poisons to give all nations. You got Bill Gates, who's got his hands in all the farming, right? He's got so much farmland. He wants you to eat bugs and not eat meat anymore because, again, he has his hand in what? Well, he has his hand in the carbon emissions, the climate initiative. And what's Bill doing? Well, Bill's sucking carbon out of the air with the vacuum, telling you that it's a good thing for the future to remove carbon so we can get rid of photosynthesis so we won't be able to grow stuff. And where's all that carbon going? Well, it's going underground. And what's underground? Oh, all these underground cities that people like Bill have funded and built over the last 100 years or so, right? Yeah, because they want to farm and do all this stuff underground while they destroy the Earth's surface. And we can go on and on and on about the things that Bill's involved in. But let's read the article out there about this meeting that they had. And, of course, how they're going to try to spin Bill Gates in a positive light. And I wouldn't be surprised if MAGA's on board and supports it because they'll support anything Trump does. Trump could literally be doing a live stream in a bed with a group of children and tell them out there that the children are just his friends, like Michael Jackson claimed with the children that were around him, and they could be drinking the Jesus juice or whatever else, and these people will take him at his word for it. So President-elect Donald Trump appears to have left a positive impression on Bill Gates. The billionaires met up after the 2024 presidential election. Gates told the Wall Street Journal and shared an intriguing 3-hour-long dinner together. Gates shared that the private meal only included Trump himself and the two individuals that helped manage their respective affairs. Though Gates reportedly helped fund Kamala Harris's 2024 campaign, the philanthropist said he was impressed by Trump's interest. Pretty incredible, right? He helped fund the person who was opposing Donald Trump, and a couple weeks later, he's having a 3-hour dinner with Donald Trump, right? Quote, "It was quite wide-ranging," Gates said of their conversation. Global health is an important matter to Gates, who, as chair of the Gates Foundation, works to fight disease and poverty worldwide. The billionaire shared that his discussion with Trump had them both pretty excited about a variety of topics, including magic potion innovation. They discussed polio in particular as, quote, "We're very close to getting that done, but if you stop, it'll spread back," Gates said. Thus, the disease has had a resurgence in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Gaza, and Africa, to name a few areas. Quote, "He was fascinated to hear what he could do to maximize the chance that during the next 4 years, that incredible milestone will be achieved," Gates said of Trump. Quote, "I feel like he was energized and looked forward to helping to drive innovation. I was frankly impressed with how well he showed a lot of interest in the issues I brought up." Gates' positive assessment of Trump comes months after he reportedly donated $50 million to a nonprofit that helps support Harris and her bid for president, according to the New York Times, though he didn't publicly endorse the Democratic nominee. Before 2024, Gates largely stayed out of politics and kept his views private. It's almost like we're feeling this seismic shift where the Democrats, the people out there who are liberal and into all the fake politics, that all of these people that were aligned with them are starting to align with Trump. And the MAGA crowd is just ignoring it completely because they're saying that Trump is playing 6D chess. That's their excuse, that he's He's working them. He's manipulating them. And all of a sudden, the Democrat people out there are against people like Elon Musk, who have always been Democratic, voters, voting Democrat. Elon Musk always was. And had the same Democrat ideologies. Just Musk hasn't changed his view on those things. He's just aligned himself with Trump. You notice how he hasn't changed his view about giving jobs to other countries and not America first, or the fact that he's continuing to talk about equal income and how AI is going to remove jobs, or the fact that he's talking about just eliminating all these positions in Congress and replacing them with technology, right? Yeah, the technocrat that Elon Musk is. So what more would it take for people to wake up to the fact that Bill Gates, who is probably the most wicked person alive, is having dinner with Donald Trump for 3 hours? Do people remember the docu-series when I covered it on Bill Gates? Can I show you a couple of clips here of Bill Gates in that docu-series where he talks about things like reptilian? Of course, it's very important to him to talk about, one, that pizza parlor gets mentioned in this docu-series that they don't want you to talk about, that they replaced with that island where they put that big little shoebox house where they tell you that all these rituals take place. Right? They had to put that in there and talk about misinformation. But really, his whole docuseries was about misinformation. So maybe he was meeting with Donald Trump and talking about censoring people. Because if you haven't noticed, X is censoring people who are anti-Trump now, because that's how the seesaw has gone. I talked about that. They're trying to suck people into vacuums where this is a conservative platform and that's a Democrat platform. I thought maybe I would be safe on this platform now, because I figured if you're talking against Trump, they're just going to automatically think you're a liberal. So maybe they would let me be safe. But unfortunately, I just lost the channel for anyone that doesn't know. So I guess that's not going to be true for people like us who don't pick a party. Because you got to pick a party. If you're exposing the parties, you're not allowed to talk. But people who are exposing Trump on platforms like X are getting removed and silenced. So maybe Donald's talking to Bill Gates about how we can move forward with more algorithm censorship, right?
Bill Gates and the liberal world order are orchestrating a scheme to force people to eat bugs. Their agenda is to weaken the lower classes with protein-poor insect diets. I'd feel bad if I was doing that. Gates is a shape-shifting lizard, part of the reptilian race that includes Tom Hanks and Lady Gaga. These lizard people are secretly exerting global control. Someone mentioned this one to me. I didn't know we had Tom Hanks in on it, though. I mean, that's great. Bill Gates is pursuing immortality by consuming babies' blood.
Conspiracy theory always has kind of the same story. Once upon a time, we were happy and everything was good. Then the monsters took hold. Everything seemed fine because the monsters made sure this was all kept secret.
They could change shapes and sizes.
That they're in control of the media, and so only a very few people can actually see these monsters.
If you're special enough, you could spot the monsters.
Only the heroes of the story knew the truth, and then they arrived to save the world.
The battle of good versus evil.
And
do we read it again?
I think Bill's biggest concern is misinformation about the topics and the issues he works on. We're going to show you some of the things that are hot right now, inflating things into these massive conspiracy theories that include microchips, farmland, vaccine technology. This is a real-time dashboard of all the misinformation about you. These are all the posts and issues.
I wonder if some things like the microchipping thing, is that dropped to zero? Or is
That's like core to so many of those sections.
This blue line is really just about climate. A lot of this is about puppeteering the food supply.
I think it's not something that we can just blame social media for not making sure that they have better practices.
Well, we made it so easy to just post anything. So somebody who, on the playground would have been rude and nasty. A few dozen kids hear that, that's not great, but hopefully they'll grow up. But you're sitting in your own home. It's just, you just sit there and type.
What I think right away is, if enough people were on the playground shouting at each other at the same time, I feel like someone might calm it down.
On that playground, if, things go too out of control, there was some adult who would show up. And even when you attack somebody on the playground, you can see their face. Whereas when you're sitting there typing and you're feeling like you're so clever, you don't see that human reaction that makes you think twice about it. And even when you attack somebody on the playground, you can see their face. Whereas when you're sitting there typing and you're feeling like you're so clever, you don't see that human reaction that makes you think twice about it.
So those are all the wonderful things that Bill Gates cares about and talks about openly and uses humor, if you want to call that humor, to deflect. I mean, the fact that he's bringing attention to drinking the red liquid of children, or talking jokingly about the next outbreak, or cracking jokes about a pizza parlor and saying people made it up because they wanted to feel like heroes. You know, these are the people who are so obsessed with people like us having the right to speak freely, because they know if people break out of the left-right paradigm, that this whole thing crumbles. And that's what this is about, breaking people free from the left and the right. An actual revolution that could occur, because there are so many more of us than there are of them. But as long as we stay divided, they win. And when Donald Trump is meeting with Bill Gates, it should be a signal. Something should go off in people's minds that say, this isn't right. This is Mr. Operation Warp Speed, the father of the vaccine. What are they talking about at dinner? They're not talking about, you know, their past. They're talking about the future. And what's the future? Well, the entire conversation revolved around inoculation. So you go figure that out for yourself, especially when Bill tells you that, well, he's already planning for the next one, right? Pretty frightening that people who claim to be awake can't see through this deception. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.